Here's another lesson I had. And that lesson, it was pretty interesting. It's just about communication. And when you start to realize that you live your life communicating with other people and it can correlate to the way that cell phone upgrades operate, it's just interesting. So, what do I mean by that? Well, you and I could meet and maybe we're both just clicking, right? Our operating systems, we're on the 4.0 and everything seems to jive together. Talk, text, all the applications of our life, just everything aligns. And then over time, you start to realize that you stay stagnant and maybe I continue to grow. I keep upgrading, I keep learning, I keep developing. And as you stay at that 4.0, operating system and I start to keep moving away, there are going to be applications within our lives that they don't jive quite the same. And it's interesting when you do that with people because you could have these relationships that maybe you started out and everything clicked, and then as time goes on, you still talk, you still text now and then. But when you start talking about the applications of your life, there are just things that your operating system can handle that their operating system cannot even process. You can even have the exact same app, but if it's an old version, then there are things and capabilities that they will not be able to take advantage of. There are efficiencies and ways to do things that they will not even be able to see. And that's the easy context. But I want us to take it even one step further. And what happens when your operating system actually exceeds the system requirements of the corporation that you work for, or the company that you work with, or the role that you're in? It's interesting because that is when you start seeing people with a lot of frustration. They start getting lost. They start getting bored because the job gets easy because they have progressed beyond what it needs and what is necessary for it to be good. But now comes the next challenge. How do you actually continue to function where you don't break off relationships and your operating system might be even higher than what anybody else realizes? Because maybe your job has never actually required the full capabilities of who you are to show up. And so when you do decide to make that career move, all of a sudden everyone's shocked. There's a lot of times where this also begins to be something between a relationship between you and your boss. So what happens when maybe your boss knows you a certain way and they know that you operate a certain way, but maybe they've not realized how much development you've actually put into yourself, the extra classes, the extra learning, the extra books, the extra time getting mentored. And then all of a sudden one day that boss realizes that it's really hard to manage you. You don't ask very many questions, you don't need much help, and it's just getting hard to lead somebody who's leading themselves and they may not feel like that you need them. Does that create strife? Does that create struggle? But that's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in the last 12 months. It's that there are a few people that have these capabilities of having operating systems of knowledge in areas of business, relationship, family, spirituality, and they could be way up here in terms of their operating system, but they also always make sure that foundationally in the way that they are, they keep some operating systems that allow them to continue to connect with whomever they meet at whatever level of life that they're in. Look at your operating system. Ask yourself, are you okay with it? Ask yourself, do you want more? If you're frustrated, maybe it's time to see about getting that upgrade. But I will tell you, it comes at a cost many times. And I don't know how many of you have had that situation where it's time for there to be an upgrade, and all of a sudden, your phone doesn't have enough memory. And sometimes, in order to actually get to that next phase of operation in your system, you're going to actually have to dump some memories. That can be hard to choose which memories that you need to dump. But when you look at what can be gained by getting to that next level of an operating system, it could completely change your life. But I'm not going to tell you it's always easy. Sometimes you got to let go of those things, those memories that you felt like you were going to hold on to forever, so that there can be room for new efficiencies and new functionality. Have an amazing rest of the day, everybody. Always a pleasure talking to you.